I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at the pretty village of Worth Matravers in Dorset. It's located about 4 miles south of Corfe Castle on the Isle of Purbeck. And today we're going to be walking a roughly 4.5 mile circular route, starting and finishing in the village, as well as enjoying some of the stunning scenery along a section of the Jurassic Coast. We'll be exploring the disused Seacombe Quarry, trying to find an abandoned Napoleonic era cannon, an Allan Williams Turret, and I'll explain what that is later if we find it, and a few other interesting things along the way. Now I'm filming at the end of May. It is a glorious day. The sun's out, blue sky, very little wind. It should be perfect conditions for walking, so do come along with us. Now we have been at Worth Matravers before, so if you haven't seen that video, do check it out. But on that walk we headed directly south to Whippet Quarry and then headed westwards to St Alban's Head. Today we're going to be heading a sort of southeasterly direction and then east towards Dancing Ledge, but we won't actually look at Dancing Ledge, and then coming back to the village. But before we head out into the countryside, there are one thing that we want to check out in the village, because the last time we came here we looked at the church. It was closed. Let's see if it's open today. Well, this is the church of St Nicholas of Myra. Probably was a Saxon church originally. There was certainly a Saxon doorway blocked up. The present church was built around about 1100 and it consists of a nave, chancel, porch and tower, and the chancel was rebuilt in the 13th century. The chancel arch and south doorway, although dating from 1160, may well have been brought here from elsewhere, possibly after the dissolution. The south chapel or transept was built in the 14th century, and that was then demolished in the late 18th century, and the whole church was restored in 1869 and 1872. I think it's got 3 bells, and I love these core bells on the south wall. But as you can see, there's a lot of fencing around, and looks like there's problems with the roof, and there's a little sign outside saying that indeed looks as though the roof needs restoring. So it looks like we can go in this time. Last time we came we couldn't, so let's have a little exploration inside. We might not be able to see a lot because it could be dark in there. Right, in we go. Well, I can just about see inside. So what have we got here? We've got a font just by me here. I think that's, well, 19th century. Organ to my left. So there's netting above me, obviously protecting me from anything falling down. Rather impressive pulpit, gorgeous stained glass window above the altar. I love the pattern on the arch. Now I'm trying to see if I can spot a mirror. I wonder if this is it. Just up above the door, I'll put a photo up, is a mirror, and it was recovered from a ship called the Halswell. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but just park that thought in your mind. We'll be coming across that story later on in the walk. But that's a lovely little church. I reckon this is one of the prettiest village ponds in Dorset, especially when the ducks are on parade as they are today. Such a pretty village. It was originally called just Worth, which means an enclosure, and the Matravers bit was added after William Matravers, the Constable of Corfe, who took over ownership of the manor in the 14th century. Right, let's start our walk into the countryside. I say last time we went right to Whippet, but today we're going left to Seacombe. Just coming out of the village, and already we've got some quite stunning views. Our first glimpse of the sea. Of course, that's the footpath down to Whippet Quarry, which we did last time we were here. And these two sort of hills either side, you've got West Man and East Man, and you can see the patterns on the side of the hill there. That's the evidence of the old medieval farming system that they used when they were working land on a slope. And there's a sailboat out there in the sea. So we are going to follow the footpath to Seacombe. Looks as though we've got a downhill bit and then an uphill bit. That's our first little ascent out of the way, and there's the footpath that we've followed, and Worth Matravers looking quite splendid in the sunshine this morning, and then just slowly panning over. It's going to be one of those days where we're going to get some great views for sure. Now, very far distance I can just about make out the old Coast Guard cottages at St Aldren's Head, and also the little chapel there. I'll try and take a zoom photograph. It might be a bit hazy. I'm trying to keep the camera still today. There's a little bit of a wind up here. I mean, it's not cold, it's perfect really for keeping the temperature right for walking, but continuing to make our way towards the quarry. We're now just entering Seacombe Bottom, so we've just come down that little ridge there. There's a little stream on my right, and there's some looks like hawthorn out in full bloom. I'll tell you, it's absolutely glorious now. Now, before we head into the quarry, I'm going to see if I can find something up on a hill. It's going to be tricky to find. I've got a rough idea where it is. I'm going to do a little bit of uphill climbing. I haven't got to go through any gates or over fences or over walls, but we'll see how we get on. Ta-da! We found it. Actually, it wasn't too hard to spot. It was sort of shining in the sunshine. So this is an Allan Williams Turret, basically a pillbox formed by a metal turret which basically could be rotated through a full 360 degrees, and it's set above a steel and brick lined pit, and it's designed for a machine gun to be fired through the front loophole, which was protected by shutters. Apparently it was suitable for Vickers, Bren or Lewis guns, as well as other types. And the turret had a crew of 2, sometimes 3. There were some folding seats inside, and one man could rotate the cupola, which was on roller bearings. But the turret was designed by Allan Williams in conjunction with Colonel Ford and Lieutenant Williamson. I think Williams was the managing director of Rustproof Metal Windows Company in Chester, where they were manufactured. But apparently nearly 200 were made and installed, but the salvaging of metal after the war meant that only 33 remain. but well, an ideal position. So you've got the quarry in the background, defending the sea below. Brilliant that I found it. And here we are, we've made it to the bottom edge of Seacombe, and where the quarrying took place many years ago. The stone here, I think, is Portland rather than Purbeck, and the quarry was in operation from the 1700s to 1930, and they would have used cranes to load blocks of stone onto special barges, which then went round Averil Point to Swanage, where they were loaded onto much more substantial ships to go to London. And also in the Second World War, clearance of the spoil from here was used as runway hardcore to build a series of RAF airfields across Heathland in the New Forest. What a lovely spot there. Well, just to the west of the quarry here was the scene of a maritime disaster on the 6th of January 1786 during a snow blizzard. The Halswell East Indian sailing ship was wrecked on its way from London to India on the rocks here. And the 758-ton ship was dashed to pieces, and of the 242 crew, only 74 survived. Many of the survivors were pulled to safety by quarrymen. I tell you, I could sit and just listen to these waves crashing against the rocks for ages. You know, sort of day like today, where the sea's got that vivid blue colour and the sky's clear and the sun's out. It's quite magical. But we can't stay here. We've got to climb our way out of the quarry. Well, just higher up the cliff, you see much more of the quarry workings. Very much reminds me of the quarry at Winspit, just a little bit further around the coast. You can see the old workings there. Gosh, you can still make out where they quarried the stone off the sides there, and then just in front of me here, the remains of some of the old buildings when the quarry was in full operation. I tell you, get some terrific view. I'm not going to get too near the edge. Logan is very much on a lead, but how close dare we get? Isn't that impressive? Whoa. Sea looking very, very calm today. Stunning, isn't it? Well, we're now going to say goodbye to Seacombe, and we're going to be continuing eastwards along the southwest coast path, which of course is that 630-mile long distance path that starts at Poole in Dorset and makes its way round to Minehead in Somerset. Right folks, on to our next bit of exploring, and our next item to look at. We've got a little bit of downhill bit to do, and if I just show you where we're going to go. Basically we're going to head down a sort of rocky path that takes us to the edge there and turn left, because there's something quite exciting to see round the corner. Well, as you can see, we're in another quarry and we've made our way down a little path through the gap there, and now we're going to sort of head, say, eastwards on the side of the cliff, and just round the corner we should be in for a surprise. And here it is, the Hedbury Quarry Cannon. The Hedbury name derives from the Eastwards family who began quarrying in the 18th century. But in the 1960s, a 12-pound cannon of the Napoleonic period was found wedged between large blocks of semi-cut stone. Anyway, it was hauled out and reset on a stone plinth here in the mid-1970s. It may well have come either from the disastrous wreck of the Hallswell or from a coastal battery, or maybe just ballast on a returning stone quarry boat, and the quarry manager thought it looked good and kept it. Isn't that brilliant? Well, of course the quarries around here are a haven for rock climbers. It wouldn't be my cup of tea. I don't think I'm brave enough, but I'm sure once you get the hang of it. Well, this is as far east as we're going to go along the coastal path. Just in front of me is Dancing Ledge. We're not going to go down there today. We did a video there last year, so if you haven't seen that, do check it out. But we're going to say goodbye to the sea now, head inland on the return journey. It's uphill all the way, but at least we've got a pint of cider at the Square and Compass at Worth Matravers to look forward to at the end. Well, we're making our way westwards now, heading back to Worth Matravers, just about to really head inland. So this is our last opportunity to say goodbye to the sea, and it really has been quite stunning today in the glorious sunshine. As I say, that deep Mediterranean type blue. Wow, what a terrific view. So we're continuing to head northwards. We're going to join the Priest's Way and then head westwards to, that'll take us back to Worth Matravers, which we can just see on the top of the ridge there. But what a quite alluring valley down in front of me. And well, from here, the way the shadows are on the other side, you can easily make out that medieval field system, and then the path that makes its way down to the coast. It really is quite breathtaking, isn't it? Well, we've now joined the Priest's Way, which is an old track that runs from Swanage to Worth Matravers. It's an old droving route, and a track that was used by a priest in the days when Swanage was a chapelry to Worth Matravers. but it's a very old track. In fact, yeah, it goes back to perhaps prehistoric times. And just over here on the left is Eastington Farm, a 17th century farmhouse that was enlarged in the 18th and 19th centuries. But over the last 25 years or so, the gardens have been opened under the National Garden Scheme. The actual garden itself sits within a dry sort of Purbeck stone wall. Well, this is our final destination, the Square and Compass pub. Originally it was a pair of cottages, and it became an ale house in 1776 when it was called the Sloop. The name changed in 1830, and it's named after the tools used by carpenters and stonemasons. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. What a great place to end it with a pasty and some Dorset cider. So until we meet again, thanks for watching and cheerio. And we'll leave the last word today with the waves at Seacombe.